Yeah. I'm never here. You knock a couple times, got a million times, man, sick was scared. I was scared, fighting fears. Never like the man I saw.
Hi guys, and welcome to the Kenyan Flower pot.Space. You are very welcome to this episode of Bible Bits and Bites. It's been a while since I did this. The last time was October, and now it's Christmas. Merry Christmas to you guys. Even as we celebrate this festive season, we're just gonna be looking at a section of the Bible that talks about this festivity. Why Christmas? What is Christmas to you? And so our bit from Bible Bits and Bites is going to be from Isaiah chapter 9. And then our bite today, our healthy bite, is just going to be simple granola with a little dazzle of honey and some strawberries and raspberries. So I'm just going to be eating every now and then as we talk. Okay, so basically how this message came up to me was about last week when we were having a cantata service at the school fellowship that I attend. Salterians, if you're watching this. And so we were planning a cantata service, and I was trying to last minute get a narration for some songs that we were doing, and I ended up taking a lot of portions from scripture, and I was actually looking at Isaiah chapter 9 at some point, and it really struck me. It's a verse that has been read to us time and time again during the time of Christmas, and it really struck me, but I didn't really get to think about it. But during the service after praise and worship, I remember the person who was leading in prayers actually read on it, and then gave us some time to meditate, and I was like, oh wow, the weight of this really struck me, and so I'm just gonna read it, and then hopefully we're going to just look at it later on. So Isaiah chapter 9, and particularly verse 6 says, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." Okay, so here's a question to you guys. During this festive season, what is Christmas to you? Okay, what is Christmas to you? I'm going to ask you, is it about the lights, that we see all over in our shopping malls, the dazzle that's always there, the glitter? Is it about the Christmas tree? It's very interesting. I was talking to a friend, and I was telling her how it's funny how in Kenya, now kind of the Western ways have caught up with us, and so a lot of my friends were like, keep telling me things like, oh yeah, we're getting a Christmas tree, we're gonna put lights, we're trying to decorate our house. And I'm just like, wow, that's so interesting. As I read this, I think you should know that there's nothing wrong with these things, but what I'm asking is this what Christmas really is about? The lights, the Christmas tree, other deco and glamour, the candy canes that have come into our houses, the ring doors, the socks, the stars on the trees, Santa Claus. I kind of feel like Santa Claus is I think the best way I'd explain this, because I love music, is, have you guys ever gone for a show and there's a main act, and then of course before the main act there's like curtain raisers and other artists, and maybe perhaps let's say that every act has been given, say, 10 minutes, and then this has happened to me for a couple of shows I've gone to. There's always that one act that will take more than the 10 minutes and will end up taking like 40 minutes or 45 minutes, and you're just like, please get off stage, we are waiting for the main act, like we're waiting for the main person, like you're taking so much time. And they kind of change the show to be their own. And then I don't know if it's that the stage managers are really kind people but can't get them off stage, or it's just that awkwardness. But honestly, that's where I feel like Santa Claus has invaded this Christmas story and just stolen the whole Jesus show, and we're focusing so much on Santa Claus, and it's a prop, but sometimes it really ingrains in us, and especially in our children. And so again, I ask, is it about that? Is it about the colors? Even in the church sometimes it can be a big thing, the white, the red, the green. We'll wear clothes that are fit for that color, for the festive season. And sometimes we might focus on that. Sometimes it might be about family gatherings, about nyama choma, about food, about shags. For me, in fact, last week during service, when we were being asked what's your most memorable moment about Christmas and what do you love about Christmas, what I said for me, and which I've missed this, for me, Christmas was always about shags. Like shags and traveling, like that was just my main thing. And I haven't done that in like 4 years, but like I genuinely miss that. For me, it was always about, yeah, let's travel, let's go see Shosho, and the travel, the 4-hour travel to Shags was always amazing with my family and meeting up with cousins and everything. It was amazing. Other things include friends, okay, traveling, is that what Christmas is all about? Holiday, rest, run away, me time. For some of us who have been in school and then now there's a break. For me, you guys were asking me, what are you guys doing for Christmas? In my mind, I'm just like, I just want to sleep. Okay, like that's what Christmas is all about. It might be, this whole social media rant of vlogmas. Let me just point towards myself because I kind of did a 12 days of Christmas thing. Do we overhype such things? Do we make, the end of the year and Christmas time all about sticking out your tongue to the current year and being like, haha, 2018, you tried to get me, but I'm safe, and just now preaching prosperity over our 2019 lives, and now is the time that we get our selfie ready and our best photos ready, just to be like hashtag 2018, I was able to conquer 2019, here we come, last year we had best 9, and there's nothing wrong with all this, getting the best quotes just for your photo. There's nothing wrong with all this, but the question is, do we forget the main reason for Christmas? Yeah. And so I'm going to give an analogy. So say, for example, someone has taken you for dinner, and if it's a nice restaurant, of course they're going to have dessert. If it's a buffet, obviously it's there for free. Or some nice restaurants in Kenya, in Nairobi, they just give you dessert afterwards. Or there might just be dessert on the menu, and of course you will want to order the dessert. And dessert is always something great to look forward to. No lie, sometimes even a starter might be something to look forward to. But when you go for dinner or lunch or something of that sort, that's not the reason you go for, you go there for the meal, So if, for example, I was to take you out for dinner, and maybe the waiter was going to be like, oh, something's up with the meal, start with the dessert. And then after eating the dessert, which you would be confused about, but you're like, oh well, it's dessert, cool, let's do this. After eating the dessert, I tell you, okay, I think we're good to go. I think that was okay. Let's go. You'd look at me like, but what about the main meal? As much as yes, dessert was amazing, dessert is great, but what about the main meal? You'd rather even have the main meal and leave dessert. It's the same thing, parents, or even just myself with my younger cousins or nieces. If you're eating food, this is something very common. You won't want them to like have the drink before the meal because they're going to say that they're full and not want to eat the meal. So for example, like when I was young, if we'd go somewhere with my family and then the waiter comes and is like, oh, you guys have, and I guess I always used to have chips and sausage, and then the waiter is like, what about drinks? And my mom and my aunt would give that look for no afterwards, because we'd get excited and be like, yes, I want Fanta orange or something. And after a while, of course, they learned that, but once we have the Fanta, there's no way we're going to want to eat because that fills us and we just feel like we're okay with that. But we've missed the main part, which is the main meal. And I feel like that's what we've done with Christmas. We're really looking at the periphery of these other things. We're looking at, the travels, the family, all that stuff. But then we miss the main reason for the season, which is Jesus Christ. And, a question that I'd ask you is, When you go back to work, when you go back to school, and your workmates or your schoolmates are asking you, what was your greatest part about Christmas? What are you going to tell them? Are you going to tell them, oh yeah, the nyama choma was great. Hey, drinks was what? Great. Hey, I got to spend with family. Is that going to be the main thing? Again, I say there's nothing wrong with all those things that I read, but it's a problem when those are the priority, when that is the priority. It's a problem when Christ is not the center of it all, and you start with all that and then you're like, oh yeah, and Jesus. But this time of the year is meant to be a time that is so overwhelming and heavy, for us to remember what God did for us, that He sent His Son to be born into this earth just so that we may be forgiven. So generally this has been the trend for the last couple of years, and it's something that we need to change and ingrain in our systems and in our children's systems, that Christ is the reason for the season, right? So let's go back to our text and look at this wonderful gift that God gave to us, who is His Son, Jesus Christ. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given. Okay? First of all, some of you may be wondering who is the Son, and you may be wondering what is all this about. If you do not have a relationship with Christ, then that's a beginning and that's a start. And just make Him really personal in your life. And what this portion of scripture says that He will be, and He is He will be called Wonderful Counselor. What does this mean? That He is an exceptional, a marvelous, a glorious, an extremely good, counselor, guide, one who is sure to direct us, one who is sure to show us the way, to show us the path, and to always take us through life. Are you allowing God to be a wonderful counselor in your life? Is He a mighty God to you? Meaning that He possesses a great and impressive power in your life. Him being ruler and creator of the universe. Does that really register in your mind that He is the one who created the universe, and therefore what can't He do for you? What can't He fulfill in your life? It goes on to talk about an everlasting Father. Perhaps for some of you, you may have lost your father, or you may have never had a father, or you have a not so great father who is present in your life. God promises us to be the father to the fatherless, to be an everlasting, eternal, indestructible, enduring Father, and He is good and perfect and kind, and His ways are great. So I ask that you just trust Him. Do you allow Him to be a father and to really parent you over your life? And lastly, to Prince of Peace, and this means that He is a ruler, He is sovereign, He is Lord over every situation, such that your life would be tranquil, calm, gentle, mild in spirit. And further than that, what Philippians says, that it's a sort of peace that surpasses all human understanding. It's that peace that the world cannot understand. Do you allow Him to reign over your life, such that your life is always at peace and a tranquility that is incomprehensible? So just all those four things, I just want you to really meditate on that, and that was really a striking part for me last week. And this is what Isaiah is saying, and this portion of scripture is actually called, the title is actually "To Us a Child is Born," and what He promises that this Savior will do. From the other parts of scripture, I will try peruse through as fast as I can, from verse 1 onwards. It says, nevertheless, there will be no more gloom for those who are in distress. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. You have enlarged the nation and increased their joy. They rejoice before you. Verse 4, for as in the day of Midian's defeat, you have shattered the yoke that burdens them, the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor. Okay, verse 7. Of the increase of His government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over His kingdom, establishing and upholding it, and with justice and righteousness from that time on forever. This is a time when the Israelites were going through so much oppression. And this is what Christ promises, that He will be that yoke that is simple. He will come to make all these things easy. For those who are walking in darkness, that He will take away the darkness. And this is what He promises over your life as well. So do you allow this? All right. So the same chapter, not the same chapter, but the same book, Isaiah. I would like us to look at chapter 40 and verse 9, which says, "You who bring good tidings to Zion, go up on a high mountain. You who bring good tidings to Jerusalem, lift up your voice with a shout. Lift it up, do not be afraid. Say to the towns of Judah, here is your God." And who is our God? This mighty God, this wonderful counselor, this Prince of Peace, this everlasting Father. This is our God. This is the gift that God gave to us. And this is what we celebrate. This is what we commemorate this season. And so I just pray and hope that we will be able to come to terms of just worshiping this King and leaving all these things to be a periphery, a side note, and not the center and priority over this festive season. And so I pray that truly you would just dwell and reflect on what Isaiah says in Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6, that this is all the things that he is and will be in our lives. So I pray that you just allow him in and just let him be all these things in your life. And so just to finish this, the first Christmas play I ever did, it was probably a while ago. I was in class 4, and I feel like the words are so profound. And so I'm just going to read them out, like not read them out, but just kind of narrate them out. And where I can remember, I'll sing it out. So it said, "Why bother with the tree? Why bother with the lights? If you ignore the meaning of that first silent night, why bother with the angels? Why bother with the gifts? If you ignore the message that Jesus came to give." And then the chorus went on to say, "Christmas without Christ, there's no savior, there's no joy. Christmas without Christ, there's no reason to rejoice. Christmas without Christ, oh, it makes me want to cry. Why bother having Christmas without Christ?" So this Christmas season, why do you bother to have Christmas without Christ? It beats the meaning. And so I pray that we truly would acknowledge Christ over our lives and just thank God for this boy gift to us, who is now King and seated on the right hand of the Father. So I wish you a Merry Christmas, and just truly reflect on that, and let's remember that Christ is the reason for the season. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and have a wonderful festive season.
You know what you need to do. What I turn to the Lord and make things right for you.